Larry Householder takes the stand in his bribery trial. Welcome to Columbus on the Record. Larry Householder said for 2.5 years he has been waiting to tell his story. This week, he got that chance and then had to answer questions poking holes in that story. In the final days of testimony in his federal bribery and racketeering trial, Householder raised his right hand and testified in his own defense. The two-time House Speaker called himself just an underdog politician who was trying to do what's right, keep Ohio's energy system diverse, save jobs, and be a unifying force in Ohio politics. Householder denied he led the scheme to bail out 2 FirstEnergy nuclear power plants. He said he had nothing more than casual interactions with FirstEnergy executives and lobbyists. But the prosecutor played secret recordings and showed pictures indicating otherwise, and Householder struggled to explain them, and then the defense rested. Co-defendant Matt Borges did not testify, and the jury could get the case next week. Darrell Rowland, it is always risky to take the stand in your own defense. Do you think that Larry Householder is glad he took that risk?
Probably depends on that verdict. Yeah. And you know, I got to say, if ever the federal court system was going to waive its rules against television coverage or anything, it should have been this one. All Ohio would have been, I think, transfixed by this, and would have been a lot of interest. I mean, not just voyeuristic interest, but you know, this is supposedly the biggest scandal in Ohio history, right? Yeah. We'd love this. Here's the main perpetrator taking the stand in his own defense, and then the cross-examination. You know, high drama on the banks of the Ohio down there, and we'll see what the jury buys. You know, from what I read, I wasn't there, but from what I saw of the coverage, he seemed to do fairly well on day one. But it sounded like a killer cross-exam. The federal prosecutors were just waiting, and as you said in the intro, had the receipts to trip him up on numerous occasions. So we'll see who the jurors believe.
Joe, Larry Householder is a very good politician. He didn't get to where he was not being a good politician. He knows how to work a crowd. He knows how to win over people. This was a different atmosphere, though.
Yeah, you know, Larry Householder has always been the guy who's willing to walk in the fire and knows he's walking in the fire because he thinks he can repel it. And I think that's part of the decision that went into this, is the way he thinks about himself. He really thinks that he could, you know, stand up there and talk to the jury and they would understand it and waive it. And we're going to see if that's going to work. But, you know, there was a lot. The prosecution had a lot of evidence. Now the question is, what do the actual jurors think about the evidence? Jurors probably, like the public, tend to have low ideas about politicians to begin with. So some of the jurors might see some of the stuff that was presented as politics as usual.
Mike, this is a man who shot a television and a TV ad. Did he go too far by saying he was a unifying force in Ohio politics?
Well, that's one way of putting it. I'm not sure that he would get universal agreement from his former colleagues in the House or around Cap Square. But I would, like Darrell, I wasn't there, and all I know is what the journalists tell us when we read the paper each day. But the only thing that's a slam dunk against Larry Householder, in my opinion, to date as a lawyer, is that he violated financial disclosure forms to the Ethics Commission. So he's guilty of that, in my opinion. I mean, he all but admitted he didn't fill out the forms, took a loan, this, that, and the other, never disclosed it. The million-dollar question is what did he do violate federal law? And that's up to the jury. We'll see. You know, Matt didn't take the stand. You know, I think there's great wisdom in him not doing that as a lawyer. Larry admitted that he wasn't there at the dinners, and Larry didn't like him. So from Matt's perspective, you know, he comes out looking pretty good in this.
Desiree, I mean, this is a balance between hardball politics and quid pro quo and bribery. Why not just say, you know what, it isn't pretty sometimes. You've got to have bad conversations. You've got to use bad words, but that's the way politics is. He didn't use that defense.
No, but I thought that's where he would have gone. And also, at the end of the day, he's a politician. And what do politicians tend to do? Woo crowds, right? And so in his mind, and on the defense team, they were probably thinking woo the jury the same way you would woo any voter to get the votes. And in this case, it backfired because that cross-examination, from what we all read from the coverage, was a real sticking point, and I think it's going to be really hard to get out of that. So I'd be curious to see next week in terms of closing arguments and how they sort of tie it all together. But the political argument, I don't know if it landed the way that they thought it would have.
Of course, you don't know until maybe we'll talk to the jurors afterwards, because sometimes you see cases and the jurors see them very differently than what we do as observers. Darrell, it comes down to one of the big things is this $500,000 loan payment that came from First Energy through Generation Now, through Jeff Longstreth, the advisor to Householder, and then to Householder to pay for his home renovations, legal fees, other bills. That's the money right there, following that money.
Well, yeah, and of course, the former speaker contends, well, this was a loan. I was going to pay it back. In fact, I still plan on paying it back, but there is no documentation whatsoever that I've seen or heard of that is a loan. And certainly Jeff Longstreth testified on the other side that wasn't a loan. In fact, it made him very nervous that he wasn't getting the money back. Yeah. Gave him money to fix up his mother's home that was damaged by a hurricane in Florida, sold for a pretty penny. He's still not paid that back from that, $600,000-$700,000 sale.
Mike, you mentioned that Matt Borges, the former GOP chair, lobbyist for this First Energy, he didn't testify. Any chance there's a split verdict where one man gets guilty and the other person gets not guilty, do you think?
Absolutely. That's a very plausible outcome that could happen. The jury could say, X for Mr. Householder and Y for Mr. Borges. The prosecution did not meet their standards to convict for one or the other. So while they're both on trial at the same time, they have separate charges against them. And if the prosecution meets their standard, then they'll both be found guilty, of course. But again, I think there's a lot of room for the jury to split or to be unified.
Desiree, do you see any changes coming out of this campaign finance law changes, tighter scrutiny, more oversight, rules about lobbying coming out of this trial?
I do not. Unfortunately, the average voter doesn't understand all the ins and outs. And frankly, most candidates and campaigns, and that's why you have compliance officers and attorneys understanding the filing process and what goes into it. I think, though, what we get ourselves into is a situation where voters go, okay, isn't that how politics works? Like, isn't that the sausage-making process? That's why we don't like politicians. They're all corrupt. And so that's the argument that we are sort of broaching here when it comes to this case, because it's wonky. Unlike the case in South Carolina where it's murder, this is very wonky, and it's going to require a lot of artful storytelling on both counts from the prosecutors and the
I agree with
defense.
everything my friend just said here. I would add one thing. Until lobbyists start going to jail, it's going to be business as usual. We've got to start putting lobbyists in jail, too, for doing this.
Well, two of the folks here have pled guilty. We'll see what what happens with them.
And there is
You
actually...
said friend.
It's a win already, no matter what else happens, right? There you go. I would note there is actually some legislation, some pretty aggressive legislation about lobbyists reporting. Ohio has notoriously weak laws in terms of financial disclosure, both lobbyists and lawmakers. This would put some real teeth in it. Now, okay, it's just a bill, and a lot of people think, well, that was just rolled out there as, on the eve of the Householder trial, just for show. And, whatever the verdict is, the verdict will happen and nothing will occur to that bill. But in black and white, there is legislation there that if they implemented that, Ohio would be a national leader in something good. Imagine that.
I wonder if a guilty verdict or not guilty verdict will change how that legislation progresses. Anyway, the proposed abortion rights amendment to the Ohio Constitution has cleared its first hurdle, and it did so with relative ease. Attorney General Dave Yost, who personally opposes abortion rights, approved the language of the amendment summary this week. He did so on the first try, something that often does not happen. Now the process moves to the ballot board, which will examine if the amendment represents a single issue. If it approves, abortion rights supporters would begin collecting more than 400,000 signatures they need to get it on the November ballot. Joe Ingles, the folks pushing this proposed amendment, they had predicted that Yost would reject the first try. He didn't. So were they surprised?
Yeah, they were kind of shocked. So the ones I talked to said they were very shocked that on the first try that this happened. But they were pleased that it happened, and they don't have to fight that hurdle, and they're ready to go on to the ballot board. And they're actually looking forward to going out and getting signatures. They think they have enough people who will go out, sign those petition signatures, put it on the ballot, and pass it.
Darryl, you've seen a lot of these amendments come and go. When I read this, I thought it's never going to be clear as glass, but I thought the language was pretty straightforward. Was that Yost had to approve it because of that?
Well, yeah, and again, it's worth underscoring what you said. It's a mere legal duty on, does the language accurately describe the issue? It's not, are you pro-choice or pro-life or any of that subjectivity. It's a purely legal question. Now, some would say that's been abused in the past, but it seems like he just played it straight down the middle and answered that legal question. Now, you say it is clear in terms of what the amendment does, describing it, but then what actually the amendment does, I think these folks may have a little bit of differences on that. So,
Mike, should he have just taken it, or did he make a mistake, the Attorney General?
Well, I applaud the Attorney General for doing his statutory duty and following the Constitution. That's all we ask of our elected officials, right? We have Cuyahoga County prosecutor that says, I refuse to enforce pro-life laws. Complete dereliction of his duty up there in Cuyahoga County, and he's wrong for that. The Attorney General did his job, and we applaud him for it. Now it's our job to go out and have the debate in public square. He had a specific duty to do, and based on the information in front of him, he approved it. Let's go.
Desiree, ballot board, this seems like a single issue to me.
Well, I'm thrilled. I think on our side, we saw two different coalitions working together and coming together to put forth language that, they got it done in a one full swing. And so I think that speaks to the volume of the work that the advocates and activists are doing on the ground. And I think we're going to see the fruits of that labor when they get those signatures, and I'm certain they will get them. And I think the vote is going to come out on their side because all of the public opinion polls continue to show where most Ohioans are, which is like staying out of the decisions between a woman and her doctor and people who get pregnant. So,
Mike, you're with Ohio Right to Life. Is there a chance that another question could try to put on the ballot, one that would go the other way, that would ban abortions or make increased restrictions on abortion?
Yeah, we've said very publicly that we don't need to go to ballot, do our own constitutional initiative because we have elections and we have the legislature, the governor, and the courts, in our opinion, of course. But if the legislature wants on their own to put a House Joint Resolution on the ballot that's pro-life, so be it. We'll go out and we'll actually advocate to have that pass. It's up to them.
Darryl, it's hard to get these signatures. They have until July to do it. Is there money behind this campaign?
oh, no question. The amendment supporters have, hired out-of-state firms that have already, been successful in other states. There's obviously money flowing in, and frankly, that's going to be one of the sad parts of this whole campaign. We're not going to know specifically where a lot of the money comes from, who the donors are going to be. There's going to be a lot of tremendous out-of-state presence, I think, on both sides. We're not going to, speaking of dark money, we're going to see it. They needed 1,000 valid signatures to get it to Attorney General Yost, as you said. They got 7,000, I guess less than 2 days. I've been told by the folks that they're going to go for 900,000. You always want that margin of error. The minimum is over 400,000, but people move, signatures get thrown out, invalidated. You want that huge cushion. We'll see. You're going to see the quote unquote pro-choice supporters at a lot of county fairs, a lot of public events in coming months.
Joe, you wrote this week about how even if this does get approved, that the fight won't end. There'll be other challenges.
Yeah, I think we're already seeing signs of that. If you read what Attorney General Yost said in the letter that accompanied the certification, he said, regardless, this is just going to take it to a different place, take the argument about abortion to a different place. And I think you're seeing both sides saying, if this goes to the ballot and it does pass, that it changes the way that they're going to deal with this problem, but there's no guarantee that the powers that be are going to actually uphold it in the way that it's thought to be designed. And the reason I say that is, a lot of politicians who are looking at redistricting, they view that differently than was designed when it was put on the ballot. Same with school funding. Constitutionally, the Supreme Court spoke on that, but look at how it's viewed by politicians. So you could very well end up with this passing and still not getting what the people bringing the constitutional amendment want.
All right, let's get to our next topic. U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown does not often agree with Senators J.D. Vance and Josh Hawley of Missouri, but the Democratic senator has teamed up with the two strong Trump supporters and others to demand safer rail lines. A month after the Norfolk Southern derailment, fire, and toxic chemical contamination, the bipartisan group of senators has co-sponsored a bill that would tighten regulations. It aims to make rail cars safer, mandate safety devices along the rails, and inform local authorities of dangerous chemicals coming down the tracks. At the State House, a Senate committee held a hearing on the disaster this week, and last night, Norfolk Southern executives got an earful from East Palestine, Ohio residents at a public hearing. Desiree Timms, there has been a lot of partisan finger-pointing over the past month in East Palestine. This Brown, Hawley, Vance, Marco Rubio's in there, the Pennsylvania senators, was a little breath of bipartisan fresh air, so to speak.
Finally, we're back to the good old days. No, look, I think I think it's great whenever politicians work together, regardless of their party. The reality is, this is something that Democrats have fought for safety, for upgraded braking systems for our railways, and East Palestine is represented by a lot of Republicans. And I think what Republicans around the country are saying is, this could happen in my district. This could happen in my town. These could be my kids. This looks like my community. And so they're stepping up to the plate and wanting to solve the problem, because no one trusts politicians saying it's okay to drink the water and breathe the air today, when the real fear is, okay, what happens when you all pack up and leave town in 5 years? What happens to my kids? What happens to our drinking water then? And so I think it's refreshing and it's great to see politicians across the aisle finally working together again.
Like Republicans tend to not want a lot of regulation. This time they're saying we need a little bit more.
Well, yeah, we have very lax federal laws because, again, the state doesn't control the railways. The federal government doesn't. It's always been that way, not just recently. But at the end of the day, Governor DeWine and his leadership, he set up a base camp for the Department of Health. They're there 7 days a week, which is the right thing to do. To their credit, the federal government has finally come in, the CDC, federal EPA. I thought our administrator at the federal EPA has done a fantastic job. The Biden appointee, his name escapes me right now, I apologize, but he's done a wonderful job being on the ground. So we're doing the right thing at the state and federal level. The legislative side, that's what we have to fix, because that train didn't just come from East Palestine. It came from Illinois, went through Toledo area, and went across the state of Ohio. If that would have hit a population center in Ravenna, Akron, we could have massive loss of life.
Proposing legislation is one thing, Daryl. Passing it is another. It has to go through the committees. Memories are going to fade. Do you think these regulations actually happen in Congress?
That's the big question, and I looked at the campaign finance records and the lobbying records for the state of Ohio, and I've seen bigger campaign contributions, but Norfolk Southern is a pretty big presence for not a state company in both senses. They have full-time lobbyists that have successfully, fended off a lot of state regulation. Again, with the backdrop of, can the state even do much regulation? Federal level, my goodness, it's just 1,000 times more, because as Mike said, that's where the game's been played, and lobbying the executive branch and the congressional branch. Just hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign contributions. Lobbyists' expenditures, just, checks and checks and checks written to lobbyists. So we will see. There's a lot of momentum. Now, this derailment, I think, is probably, I don't want to say caught fire. That's awful, but I guess I just did. Has gotten attention like nothing that I don't think any of us have ever seen. Certainly not in this part of the country. And some of it's bad with all the partisan bickering, but some of it's good with maybe something final will get done. First, let's determine what does need to be, what needs to happen to keep people safe, and let's do it.
Joe, good politics sometimes means good policy. Sherrod Brown up for re-election in a year. He needs votes in rural Ohio. He wants to show he's bipartisan. He's showing it this week. I'm guessing this will show up in a campaign ad in 2024. That he's working with Josh Hawley from Missouri.
Well, yeah, but let's not forget that Sherrod Brown has worked with Republicans a lot. There were a lot of things that he's worked with Rob Portman on in the past in bipartisan legislation. So I don't want people to get the idea that Sherrod Brown is going into East Palestine and, doing the things he's doing because of politics. I think he has always advocated for some of the things that he's saying right now. But it is encouraging to see the two sides working together, to see J.D. Vance and Sherrod Brown standing there together, sponsoring a joint piece of legislation, bipartisan legislation. That is what can restore faith in government from people who have lost it.
Yeah, I mean, for whatever reason, it's just nice to see a tiny little town out really in the middle of nowhere getting all this attention and not just getting passed over as an accident this week, and we're moving on to the next topic next week. Anyway, our last topic, a lot of Ohioans bet a lot of money on sports in the first month it was legal in the state. Ohioans bet more than $1.1 billion on sports contests. Now, about a third of that total was free bets or promotional bets, those bonus bets we saw on TV. But that still means that Ohioans bet $800 million of real money in just 1 month. And they couldn't even bet on OSU football yet. Mike Gonadakis, the state got $21 million in tax revenue. Is that enough?
What a sweetheart deal for FanDuel and DraftKings and others, man. That needs to be addressed immediately. And we have a great vehicle called the state budget, which has to be signed by July 1st. I encourage Democrats, Republicans, the governor to sit down and say, no more. We're going to take a lot more money from these guys than what was approved earlier at the end of the day. Look, Ohio is number 2 in the nation in sports betting. The only state that bet more is New York, which is 2 times our size. We have 11 million people total. I think that's the size of just New York City alone. We have issues here. They were fined hundreds of thousands of dollars already for false advertising and manipulation. And I'm telling you right now, it's in our high schools. I have a daughter in high school. I can tell you she's not doing it. I don't do it. Full disclosure, we don't gamble. We don't have any of the apps on our phones. It's happening in our high schools, and that needs to be addressed. I don't know how to fix it, but it needs to be addressed.
Joe, we heard that Ohioans are betting anyway. This is just going to legalize it. Do you think Ohioans were betting with their bookies $1.1 billion before legal betting came in here?
No, I don't. And I also think we need to remember that was January's numbers, right? And you think about all the high profile things there were. Yeah, there was Super Bowl with the Bengals in it, an Ohio team being involved
Not in
in
the
that.
Super Bowl, they were the championship.
Well, they were
game.
involved in the rundown to it. So you had a lot of bets going in January. There, the college playoffs. A lot of things happening in January that weren't happening in February. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing the February numbers come out, because they might tell us some more. But we do have March Madness coming up. And, that's traditionally a place where office pools, people are betting. They might, instead of doing that office pool, they might go for this.
That's right, because the Super Bowl was in February this year. Yeah. The game it was, but the betting leading up to it started in January. Desiree, is this a every state's doing it. If Ohio didn't do it, they would be losing this money. Is this just something we have to accept and try to regulate?
I think that it is certainly popular amongst a certain demographic of Ohioans. However, we are seeing some detrimental effects from betting. A lot of the college athletes are complaining about death threats and the threats they're receiving from people, not just in state, but out of state, because I bet money on you and you messed up that play. Well, what are the long-term implications of this on society? We already have a very high teen suicide rate. What is the long-term impact on our athletes? And I saw a lot of Kevin Hart commercials advertising sports betting for the last several weeks. And so I think we're going to see more of it, but I think we have to be careful about what's to come with the sports betting.
Daryl, the total of fines for all of the illegal advertising, it's probably going to be about $1 million. That's not a whole lot when you brought in $800 million in revenue. That's just the cost of doing business. Do those fines need to be higher?
Well, that's what critics I've talked to, the problem gambling folks, they say, yeah, this is exactly as you said, cost of doing business. And they've pretty much willingly paid these fines. They haven't really fought them a whole lot for the Casino Control Commission. Mike mentioned the greater taxes. Governor DeWine has proposed that in the budget, increasing that 10% tax to 20%, and also tightening down some of the regulations. But yeah, kids having this on phone, because that's the way people gambling by far, on phones.
Let's get to our final off-the-record parting shots. Desiree Timms, you're up first.
Yeah, I think as we talk about sports betting and we get into a change of weather in concert venues, the Biden administration is pushing Congress to pass a bill to ban junk fees in tickets. I know a lot of people who purchase Beyonce tickets. I won't speak for other people. They pay these extra fees that are quite ridiculous, and so I'm excited to see what comes of that.
Mike.
About 5 years ago, Democrats and Republicans in the House came together and came with a plan to protect our Constitution at 55%. Vernon Sykes, the late Chris Jordan, Bob Cupp, Mike Curtin, former editor of the Dispatch, came up with a proposal in writing. I've read it. It's a public record. We need to pull that 55% proposal out and debate that at the State House.
Daryl.
For the first time since 1957, we're getting a new portrait commissioned for the State House Rotunda. Ohioans in space. We've had 25 astronauts. Of course, John Glenn and Neil Armstrong will be prominent on that. They just commissioned it. It'll go up in 2024.
And Joe.
We heard a new thing in the householder trial this week. It was the term casket carriers, and he used that term, he said, to refer to his best friends. I want to put that to rest. I'm hoping my best friends do not use the term casket carriers, and I don't think that's a term that we really want to adopt, do we?
All right, speaking of artwork and speaking of the householder trial, of course, Ohioans never got to see householders' dramatic testimony because modern communication technology is not allowed in federal court. So we had to rely on our other sources. This was drawn by Julie Carr Smythe of the Associated Press and a Columbus on the Record panelist. That is Larry Householder on the right, and she says that is Matt Borges on the left. A little sad there. Julie is a terrific writer and a reporter, but maybe she should have taken one of those art classes advertised on the back of those comic books back in the day. Or maybe Chief Justice John Roberts could allow TV cameras in federal courts. That is Columbus on the Record for this week. Please continue the conversation online. We're on Facebook, and you can also watch us anytime on your time at wosu.org/COTR or on the PBS video app. For our crew and for our panel, I'm Mike Thompson. Have a good week.